You guys ready? Well, friends, good morning. My name is Father Jerry Ollinger. I'm a Holy Cross priest, and I have the privilege of serving as our Vice President for Student Affairs. And especially to all of our admitted students, it's awesome to have you here. Our current students just showed me a video from last night in the Loftus Center, and I regret not being able to be there. It looked like a lot of fun. My friends, today our goal is to help you to understand Notre Dame better, to have a sense of this community and who we are, to hopefully maybe answer some questions that you have, especially with my experts to my left, and to help you to discern well what the next step is in your education. To begin, will you please join me in prayer? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. The following is a short excerpt from the Constitutions of the Congregation of Holy Cross, the religious order that I'm part of, and the religious order that helped to found and continues to guide the University of Notre Dame. Come, follow me. It was the Lord Jesus calling us. We were already his. But there seemed to come a time when the Lord was calling us to take some further step. It was a call that came to us from without, but also one that arose up within us, as from his Spirit. We asked how we might follow, and found many footsteps and footprints on the road. A great band had passed this way, people who had made and lived by their vows, people who had walked side by side in their following of the Lord. They beckoned us to fall in step with them. We wanted to be part of the family, and they formed in order to share in their life and their work. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on our students who have been admitted to the University of Notre Dame. Help guide their discernment as they help to understand your call in their life. Give them the strength and the grace to respond generously to it. Bless as well our parents and families and guardians who have accompanied and walked with these students, who have created that foundation of faith and education that we look forward to building upon. We ask all this in your holy name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Friends, we have a bit of a tradition here at Notre Dame, what's called the Notre Dame Welcome. For our students, it's most often their name, their hall, their major, where they're from. I'm a little bit beyond my undergraduate days, but I'll give you maybe a slightly extended version of my Notre Dame introduction. I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia. I'm the oldest of 4 children. I have 3 younger sisters, which I'm greatly blessed by, and I now have 10 nieces and nephews. And I was the first in my family to come to Notre Dame. My dad, in pity on me, since I was the only boy, would take me and a couple of my male cousins and my uncles on kind of regular pilgrimages to Notre Dame, because we grew up as Notre Dame football fans. And it was on those visits, perhaps like you, that I began to fall in love with this place. Certainly the academics, but also the spiritual life of campus and the community that I found here. And it was for those reasons that I ended up coming to Notre Dame, and I liked it so much that I stayed for 2 more degrees. I did both my law degree and my master's of theology as part of my formation as a Holy Cross priest. Now, I realize I'm a lot older than all of our admitted students, so take what I say right now with a grain of salt. But I think as much as things have changed at Notre Dame, there are many constants. As a student, I found my classes challenging and exhilarating. I met professors and mentors who cared for me individually. Actually had a beautiful exchange recently with Mary Keyes, who's a professor in political science I had as a freshman. She lost her mother recently, and I sent her a mass card, and she sent me a lovely note back. We're getting together for coffee in the next couple of weeks. These are relationships that have endured over 25 plus years. And that's what you find here. I also found the opportunity to be engaged not only academically, but also outside of the classroom. I had the opportunity to be involved in student government as a freshman class council and freshman class president. Aaliyah and I share that. I also had the opportunity to be very involved in my hall. And I will say that residential life and the hall communities that we have here, places where you are known, where you can learn how to love others, is such an important part of the Notre Dame experience. And it was so formational for me that I ended up becoming an RA my senior year, as well as an assistant rector back in my same residence hall when I was in law school. Friends, my undergraduate experience was absolutely critical in shaping who I am today, as a priest, as an educator, and most importantly, as a person. What I especially loved about Notre Dame is that it gave me the space, the tools, the permission, and I would even say the encouragement to ask deeper questions. It was clear from the very beginning that I was not just here to earn a degree. So what do I mean by that? One of my favorite authors is David Brooks, and he has a book called The Second Mountain. And he talks about all of us being on a journey up the first mountain, which is all around success and accomplishment. Perhaps it's the college that we get into, graduating with Latin honors, being able to get into the right graduate school, medical school, law school, becoming a partner, right? Earning a good income, our job title, all of which are important. But he says at some point, we either get to the top of that mountain or something happens along the way. Perhaps it's the loss of a loved one. Perhaps it's a personal illness. We begin to ask the question, is this all that there is to life? And he says it's at that moment that we look out and we see the second mountain. And rather than just living for our own accomplishments or good, that there's something higher, a more satisfying and life-giving mountain. And once we're aware of this other mountain, we begin to realize that the superficial things that we pursued before, though not bad or wrong in and of themselves, don't ultimately satisfy the deepest longings of our heart. It's on the second mountain that we learn what it means to give our lives to something bigger. A community, relationships, a moral purpose, our religious faith. It's on the second mountain that we learn to appreciate that which is true, good, and beautiful, and where we begin to recognize the difference between happiness, which is fleeting, and joy, which is abiding. This is in no way meant to discount the importance of those other pursuits in our lives, but it does put them into perspective, and it allows us to transcend them. This brings me to the final point that I want to be sure that we're absolutely clear on as you discern whether Notre Dame is the place you're being called. Because Notre Dame is going to provide you with a truly exceptional undergraduate education. I would argue the best in the country and in the world. You will have access to, at times, unimaginable resources. You will have no shortage of career and professional opportunity and paths that are available to you. And you'll have access to a wide variety of networks that can help you both discern and take meaningful steps towards an exciting and a meaningful career, and most importantly, a vocation. You will learn from some of the best faculty in the world. We do have a pretty good football team as well. All of these things are true. But many of them are things that you can find at any excellent college or university. What's different about the University of Notre Dame is this. When you leave this place, we hope that you will do so having found a deeper anchoring in your life that allows you to climb that second mountain. That you will find the deepest identity in your lives, which is your identity as a beloved son and daughter of God. And as you anchor yourself and ground yourself in that identity, we will help you to understand the gifts and the talents that you've been blessed with, and how you're called to use those gifts and those talents in service to our world. This is what I found at Notre Dame so many years ago. And now as Vice President for Student Affairs, it's a true joy and privilege to do this work on behalf of our students and alongside of so many wonderful colleagues at the university. But rather than hearing only my perspective, I'd like to invite us now into a conversation with several of our students. They'll share in their own voices what life at Notre Dame looks and feels like, how they're growing, being formed, and discovering what it means to be here at Notre Dame as a student. All right, a little confession here. I've always wanted to be a talk show host, so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to try this and see how it goes. So we have 4 amazing student and student leaders, Zazazak, Aaliyah, Sophia, and Kaylee. And I'm gonna ask you to give your Notre Dame introduction to begin.
This is where we test the mic, right? Good to see all of you. When I want to test out a place, I don't really travel very far to do it. I just do a quick Google search. But thank you for making the time to be here. My name is Kazazak Kazrukanyo. I am a sophomore from Johannesburg, South Africa, studying computer engineering and political science, and I live in the best hall on campus. Don't let your parents tell you anything else. It's only family hall.
Hello, everyone. I am Aaliyah Applin. I am a current sophomore studying strategic management with a supplemental major in theology and a minor in sports media and culture. I'm originally from Wimauma, Florida, which is just a little bit outside of Tampa, Florida. But on campus, I live in Pascagoula West Hall, and that's the best hall here on campus.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Gomez. I am a senior. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I study sociology and Latino studies with minors in marketing and Portuguese.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylee Lauk. I am a senior studying political science. I have minors in the politics, philosophy, and economics program and the education, schooling, and society minor. And I lived in McGlynn Hall on campus and am now living off, and I'm originally from South Dakota.
Awesome. So Kaylee, I might start with you. Was there anything when you came to Notre Dame that surprised you or was unexpected? And others are welcome to chime in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first came to Notre Dame, like I just kind of ended my introduction with, I grew up in South Dakota in a rural town of about 1,300 people. And it was a really big adjustment coming to Notre Dame and, you know, meeting people from across the country, across the world, so many different perspectives at once. And the transition definitely felt challenging, but I would say one of the things that surprised me most getting here was finding all of the people that you just had these unexpected connections with. One of the things that I was really passionate about coming to campus was agriculture and rural development. And those are 2 things that I've gotten to explore all the way up until I finished my senior thesis a couple days ago on in political science on a subject on rural development, that there were all of these opportunities to connect with other students who were passionate. And I remember my freshman year going to the activities fair on campus and really excited to go to the A's looking for an agriculture club of some kind and not being able to find one. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? I really just want to, meet other people interested in what I'm interested in. And it kind of just took having conversations with other people on campus to learn that there was a ton of people who were interested in what I was too, coming at it from a lot of different angles. And that was part of what led me to start an agricultural club on campus. So I think I was surprised that all of these little things just are waiting to be uncovered on campus, and that there's a lot of people who are ready to support you and kind of help you make and build that community and kind of enrich the community that already exists here on campus.
Thanks, Kaylee. Anything else that surprised any of you when you first got to Notre Dame?
For me, it was the squirrels. I've never seen a squirrel before until I got here. So that's like my biggest surprise. But other than that, I really wasn't familiar with Rudy, so that was like a big thing. I know as a first year, you can go to the stadium, get with your friends, and watch Rudy.
Nice.
So that's a really nice tradition.
Did you ever have a squirrel come up to you and stand on your foot or anything?
Yes, but I don't give them food or anything. So.
I just think to the very first moment I showed up. Like I said, I'm from Johannesburg, so I hadn't had an opportunity to see campus for the first time. Do you know the moment when you're driving up Notre Dame Avenue and you see the Golden Dome for the very first time? And you're like, man, that thing is expensive. I'm like, did they really put, is that like gold or, is it something that looks like? But that was my very, very first sort of visual experience of this incredible campus. And the second very, very surprising thing was how everybody said hi. Like you'd be walking to your dorm for the first time. It's a crazy experience, welcome weekend. It's full of people, everyone's, packing and everyone's stopping to smile and say hi. That doesn't happen everywhere, So that was my very, very first time after a very long flight. And I've discovered, in case you didn't know, that is real gold.
Leah, how about you?
And I would just say I was surprised by how fast I felt like I had a family here. Move-in day is a little bit hectic sometimes when you're trying to go away from home, you're getting on a flight or you're driving. For me, it was 17 hours. So when I first got here, I was unsure of how the whole process would be. But in my welcome weekend, I felt like I immediately found sisterhood on day one. And I'm still great friends with those girls, and I still lean on them every day. So I think the community aspect, you're going to hear us talk about that a lot this weekend and even in this panel. It is something you've never seen before here. So.
Awesome. Thank you. So I might ask this next one to Sophia and Kazasak. Maybe you can, or maybe Aaliyah and Kazasak. With more than 70 degree programs to choose from at Notre Dame, can you share a bit about how you decided on your major and what were some factors that helped influence that decision?
I can go first. So I have grown up loving leadership. My parents, from an early age, saw that that was a skill I had. And so even through middle school and high school, I was always wanting to grow that aspect of me. And when I was deciding what school I wanted to go to, I knew that I wanted a great business school. And I looked at Mendoza College of Business because it's one of the best business schools in the nation. And I saw strategic management and thought that that fit my personality really well. And it also would allow me to explore the other aspects of business and really understand it from a holistic point. And then when I came here, I was definitely fulfilled in business, but there was a part of me that longed to just have a deeper understanding of people and our relationship with God. So I added a supplemental major in theology, and I have loved it so far. Sometimes my theology classes might be my favorite over business. Don't tell my Mendoza professors, but that is definitely how I chose that. In my sports media and culture minor, I've always loved football. My uncles both coach in college football, so it's something I've grown up around. And this past year, I got accepted into the program, and I have loved my classes there as well. So
it's awesome, Aaliyah. And did you find it easy? So you're studying in two different colleges, the college, Mendoza College of Business, and the College of Arts and Letters for Theology. Was that easy to be able to do that and have those multiple majors?
It was extremely easy. I think that they create such a clear pathway for us, and our advisors have spreadsheets galore that help you figure that out. And what I think is awesome about Notre Dame, and especially the advising that I can speak to about Mendoza, is all of the counselors are there to meet with you one-on-one and help you figure out what your plan and interest is. And I even found out that I would be interested in social entrepreneurship through my Mendoza advisors, so I definitely think that they create those clear pathways. Added it right into my schedule. It was something I decided, and less than a day later, it was ready to go. So
awesome. Kazasak.
I can tell you why they brought me. It's because that's a Mendoza answer, and Mendoza people know what they're doing. So I can tell you this, from the very, very get-go, I'm engineering. It's a bit more complicated, right? I wasn't exactly sure what type of engineering I would do. I will say this, my moments of greatest clarity was when I was 6 years old and I decided / prayed / dreamed that I would be the president of South Africa. But the plan was I would grow up and then go and do that job. I didn't really know about college. And so when we moved my family, to Mumbai, India, and I had time to 2 years in a sort of international boarding school that's focused on leadership and entrepreneurship, I came out of those experiences very convinced that I wanted to be skilled in a dynamic world of entrepreneurship. So do something where I could start, something, create an impact on my home and really on the community in general. But secondly, I left those transformative, experiences with this deep desire to have a sense of purpose. So for me, it was, let me go to a place where I can get that purpose. I've been to many prestigious institutions where you have top quality, education, supports, advisors, but when you spend 4 years at a university to get a degree, at least you want to walk out with a sense of conviction, a sense of purpose. Now, this might all be a scam, so I'm not advising to copy my model, but I said that place is Notre Dame. It's a place where I can get a sense of not only meaning, but a broader purpose, something I could use for the rest of my life. Now, I did say that I would do chemical engineering, and that was a bit of a hasty decision. So I took the first year is a discernment period. You do all of the different kinds of engineering classes, of course. And I settled on computer engineering, and I added political science. So in some ways, I probably should have known this from the beginning, but they give you 1 year to discover what you want to do. And I can definitely assure you that whether you're like Aaliyah, i.e. everyone here who's going to do business, and you know exactly what you want to do, or let's say you're like me and maybe the younger version of yourself was very clear, but now you're not so sure. You have people, and your first year will give you time.
That's awesome. I also have to give a shout out to Kazazak. He had an engineering exam right before this, and we literally had someone go pick him up in a golf cart and bring him over to this.
The golf cart was needed.
So thank you. So maybe the next one, Kazazak, will stay with you, and Sophia, maybe you can speak to this. In my work with students, we get to walk with you when there are times of great joy and celebration, but also in some really difficult moments. So when you reflect on some of the challenges that you've encountered here as a student, maybe academic, social, around career discernment or future discernment, what resources did you find most helpful? And were there professors, staff members, or university resources or offices that you engaged? So Sophia, you want to start?
Yes, so I'm part of the Questbridge program. So that is a nonprofit that works with seniors that come to the university from first-gen and low-income backgrounds. So Notre Dame has supported me in that way through the discernment process. So I've been able to change my majors and really just get to really learn about myself and what it is that I wanted to really explore further. So I've been able to get more advice from my advisors from TLP, so that's the Transformational Leaders Program. So they also work with the Questbridge students, and on top of that, there is a lot of financial resources for low-income students here as well. So the Office of Student Enrichment has also supported me in that way, and they've been able to really make sure that I do get the best Notre Dame experience regardless of my background. And more personally, really this last year or two have been a little bit hard with family, and I lost two of my most important people in my life, and it felt like the world was coming down on me. But honestly, Notre Dame has such a great support system, even though you're so far away from home. So I've had professors that emailed me, and they knew I was going to be away for about 2 weeks. And a professor emailed me, and they went and lit up a candle at the grotto. And so I had never even met them before, and they were so willing to reach out and make sure that I had that support system.
So glad you had that around you. So thanks. Kazazak.
Started with the tough questions. Let's see. I think it's about maybe there are people who are with you in very, very exciting moments, and maybe those who are with you on more difficult ones. And perhaps one of my more difficult weeks might have been, 6 a.m. up preparing for an exam. I promise you I'm not talking about this week. And so in this particular week, I had started an exam. At the end of this day, I was running this very, very big event, part of student government, and I'd been pouring, 2 months of effort into this event. I mean, you work with different students, different faculty, you get a lot of support in terms of funding, in terms of ideation. So this was a very, very big event, very important to me. Now, I will say this, all of that emotional turmoil wasn't very helped by the fact that the laundromat, they closed before I could pick up my suit for this event. So picture this, very, very, emotionally, in this kind of tumultuous situation, I have this big event, I'm about to speak to quite a few people, and I decided to very, very quickly pop by to this gentleman called Doug Thompson. Now, he's the director of one of the, departments here on campus. Now, I speak to him, I'm like, Doug, things are not happening. This is not gonna really work out, I'm not sure that we're gonna get everything set up for this event in time. And so he sits there, I'm talking, I'm telling him what the situation is, and he prays with me. And so when I think of a difficult moment and the response of someone who, frankly speaking, I had met like 2 months ago, he sits there and he prays with me. Now, I got out of that experience feeling like, wow, this is special. Now, I got out of that office and we did the event. I think you were at the event. Things happened, right? It ended up going very, very well. But I will say this, in terms of like the people you will find to be with you and support you in tough moments like the one I had, I'm far from my family. They're based in Johannesburg, South Africa. And so there will be people who come across almost as stand-ins for your support structure. For me, that was Doug, and his prayer reminded me of what my mom would do for me every time I had that kind of a situation. So I'm very, very confident that it may not be in your first year, it might not be until your third year, but you will find your, support structure. You'll find that professor who's going to, help you out when it's a tough moment. You'll find someone to sit there and pray with you, like how Doug did for me, or if you have a different kind of language in which someone is able to support you, you will find that person. So that's what I would say. Thank you so much to Doug Thompson, but also, yeah, no matter what kind of experience you have, there will be someone to step in and support you.
Awesome. So speaking about that, we talk a lot about the importance of community, certainly in the residence halls, but in so many opportunities, in clubs and organizations, in the classroom. So maybe Aaliyah and Sophia, how have you found connection and community here at Notre Dame?
So, like Father Jerry mentioned, I was my first year class president, and that was composed of 32 people from every single dorm on campus, and that is something that I joined my first month of being in college, and I think that was really transformative in my experience here, just because I got to meet so many different people from different backgrounds and a representation of every little corner of Notre Dame. And coming into Notre Dame, I knew absolutely no one. I'd never been to the Midwest. Quite frankly, when I came to South Bend, Indiana, I didn't even know where I was geographically. So I think that having first year class council and just being able to lead that was such a blessing. And then this year being sophomore class president too, just finding community in that. I've met some of my best friends in my exec board, and then even just getting to build formative relationships with the people on my council. I would also say I'm in an all-girls a cappella group, and that has been amazing. Obviously, we all love singing, and so just being able to go to rehearsal with them every Tuesday and every Sunday, and sometimes we do rehearsal for an hour and a half and 30 minutes of just talking about our feelings, because it's really important to hear that no matter what organization you're a part of, that you're building that community and you're building that support system. And I remember one day, I think it was just a really rough week for different people, and we just sat with each other and really just allowed people to feel their emotions, because it's important that when you are upset that we're not just brushing those under a rug, but that we're having that community that we can talk these things through, and just having that upperclassman leadership. We were able to kind of walk through things, see the light at the end of the tunnel, and be there for each other. So those are two communities I really love. And then my last one is iron sharpens iron. So I actually grew up Southern Baptist. My dad is a pastor. So coming to Notre Dame, I was a little hesitant about how I would navigate faith just because it is such a big part of my life. I went to church every single Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday events too, and coming to Notre Dame and knowing that maybe the way I practice faith wouldn't be as accessible, I was a little nervous, but genuinely ISI has been such a great faith community for me. It's interdenominational, so you have people who are Catholic, but you also have people who are Orthodox, or you have people who are Protestant, and that place has just been a really safe space for me to just express my faith here on campus. It's allowed me to just connect with others who we maybe agree on every single thing, or we disagree on a few things, but we're really able to challenge each other and really stick to the mission of iron sharpens iron. We get to grow in faith, whether that's through Bible studies or going and listening to someone talk on Thursday nights in Coleman Morris. So those are definitely some great places I found community.
Thank you. Sophia?
Yeah, for me, my first friends were Questbridge students. We're the first group of students that get accepted into the university, so it's really early December, usually December 1st. But then on, we all start getting into contact with each other. We start building a family, and then later on, we meet each other once we get to campus, so we already know each other. But as well, there's a lot of other opportunities to meet the people within your dorm. So at my dorm, really we'll knock on each other's doors and we'll introduce ourselves. That's usually what happens during welcome weekend. Even the parents, parents are getting to know each other, asking each other questions. And then on top of that, there's so many other organizations that work with students. So there's a lot of multicultural opportunities as well. So this last week we had, actually this last 2 weekends, we've had a lot of festivals for Latino students. So we had like Baile Folklorico performing, we had mariachi performing. So there's a lot of opportunities to really get that experience, even if you are away from home. There is that space here. And there's also other opportunities from really other people recognizing you out in the space. So back home, I was part of the Sun Bowl, like the Sun Court. And so there was a girl from my dorm that was like, wait, I've seen you like in my hall. And like, I've probably seen her, I did recognize her. But like, you start to see that Notre Dame does like go beyond from like just like this community. It does go back home. So that has been that experience. And then more about spiritual life. So there's also different ways to get connected with whatever it is that you might practice. So here they do have Spanish Mass, so my friends and I will go together. There's convivios after Mass where they'll have like some sort of like food celebration going on. And on top of that, we have the Latino First Year Retreat. So now they kind of combined a lot of different student organizations. And it really allows you to connect with other students who, again, might share the same faith backgrounds or not, but it really gives you that opportunity to really learn from each other and have those different discussions.
Thanks.
If I also might
Please.
add, just to emphasize on the retreats and the community and residence halls, we have the Plunge, which is the first year Black retreat as well. And something that's so great about that is we get little families. And now I'm a Plunge mom with one of my friends, and we get dinner with our family all the time and just get to truly check in on them. So even when you feel like you're far away from home, you still do have a sense of family. And to just add to residence hall life as well, your community from day one, like you will feel like you are at home and you will have a place, because there's nothing that you have to do to be put in your residence hall but simply accept coming to Notre Dame. There's no qualification system. You're welcome day one. And I think that our rectors and our residence hall assistants and our assistant rectors do such a great job at making programming and just simply being there for you. And then the upperclassmen in the dorm also want to build relationships with you. And I think that that's what made me feel so comfortable in my first month being here in that hard time of transition, and knowing that even if maybe I didn't have the best day, I can always go back to my hall and know that there's someone there for me.
I think it's a beautiful point, right? That there's absolutely nothing you need to do to belong to a hall but to be you. And what a gift that is, right? So, Kaylee, maybe who's been a mentor to you, and what have you learned from them while you've been at Notre Dame?
Yeah, one of my biggest mentors on campus, and this is part of a resource that's one of the first things that I like to tell any first year students that I'm talking to about, is the Center for Undergraduate Scholarly Engagement, the CUE's office on campus. One of my biggest mentors was one of the officers in CUE's my freshman year. And like I was kind of talking about earlier, I found the adjustment to Notre Dame difficult. I felt my sense of belonging, of course, in McGlynn Hall. My freshman year random roommate is still one of my best friends. My, friend group, it's all a foundation of having started there in that hall. But it was a lot different than home, and it was a tough adjustment, but it was finding this mentor early on during my time that I feel like really allowed me to begin to flourish on campus. She connected me with all of the different resources to engage in research opportunities. I got in a lab. I don't know if you guys remember what my major was, political science. I should not have been, making solutions under a hood or anything. But yeah, it was a really great experience though, starting to get to connect with other faculty on campus who were doing work that was really interesting to me. And ultimately, it was working with the CUE's office too that has helped me to apply to national fellowships. So last year, I was a Truman Scholarship recipient, which is a public service award. And just kind of navigating those application experiences is really intimidating, but having somebody who knows you so well and can connect you to resources has been something that's really kind of changed my Notre Dame trajectory, I would say.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaylee. All right, I'm going to ask this to all of you, and you can take a moment to reflect, but what advice would you give to students who are in the midst of this college discernment? You have them all sitting in front of you right now. What are some words of advice, things that were helpful from your experience that you'd like to share with them? You can take it in whatever order you'd like.
I can start, I think, with this one. One of the biggest things that's kind of been important to me during my time at Notre Dame has been bridging and finding a connection to home, despite being, several states away. And as a part of that, I've been working with another student to start this mentorship program to help other South Dakota students find their way to college. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've taken away from that experience is just how important it is to feel open to asking questions of people who are in a space that you envision yourself in or aspire to be in. I think there's nothing more powerful sometimes than a cold email. You don't know what that could lead to, what type of relationship it could lead to. And so I think just being open to reaching out to people and taking advantage of while you're on campus, stopping and asking a student a question and just not being afraid to raise your hand and ask is just a really great way of taking advantage of your time in this space here. And just not being afraid to ask those questions of people in spaces you want to be in as well.
Thank you.
I would say that just as much as Notre Dame chose you and admitted you, you choose Notre Dame. And so I would just suggest that while you're here and while you're spending your weekend here, you just really reflect, discern, and pray over if this is where God has called you to be and where you feel most connected. And then I would also say, and then you might think this is funny, when I started out, when I was making my decision, a really large part of my decision, not the main factor, was football. And I think that at first my mom was not very thrilled when I said that Notre Dame's football team was a really large drawing factor. But I think for me, what I really was meaning in that was there's a different type of camaraderie and a different type of love for this university. And I think that going to our football games, you can really see that. And I wanted to be at a place where we're not only excited to go to classes, but we're excited to go support our fellow students. And we're excited to represent our university. So I'm not saying let football be the deciding factor. But you know that when you step here, that people are excited to be at Notre Dame, and they truly do want to be here every single day.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaliyah. Sophia, you got it?
So college can honestly be very scary at first, but honestly, there's a lot that comes with it. And maybe it might take some time to get used to it, or you automatically find your family. But there's different steps to it, and I'm very family oriented, so it was really hard to be away from home. So I guess this might be some advice, but like if you have like a 5-minute break, you're walking to your next class, I would use that time and just call your parents. And it was really hard at first. I thought, okay, I have class, then the next one, then the next one, and then maybe I'll then call my mom. But really, it really only took like just like walking from D-Bar to like McKenna, things like that, and then I would just like go and call my mom. And also, especially if you're the first one to go to college, it's very different, and you don't know what that's like. You don't know how to maybe ask questions. You don't know who to really reach out to when it comes to the resources on campus. But honestly, Notre Dame really wants you to thrive. They want you to grow. They want you to succeed. And there's so many different ways that they do that through their alumni support, and also your peers. Your peers are honestly, they also want you to succeed as well. And I think also Notre Dame gives you not only like a physical home, but also like a feeling of home. And it really goes on beyond from your undergrad experience.
Thank you.
Advice, advice, advice. So in the interest of time, I promise you I'm not going to do what I wanted to do. But in the interest of time, I'm going to give you very, very brief advice. Now, we all had that first moment when you're putting in your application, you're putting it through whatever you applied with, and you're basically representing yourself in the best possible way according to what the institution wants from you, right? So you remember that moment, you're filling in that application, you're like, I hope they choose me. Now, you guys are at that stage a few months later where you have options. And so I think what I would say is take all of those sort of ideals, checklists, expectations that you wanted to portray of yourself and put that in the dustbin, okay? Think about, I guess, what you actually like. Think about where you want to be. Think about what fun is like to you. So I'll put it to you this way. If you think fun is going to the first ever football game at the stadium and you see some jets flying over and you want to have that experience and you want to see the team rushing in, the marching band, if you think fun is that, put that on the checklist. If you think fun is traveling to Alabama to go and see the Equal Justice Initiative for the very first time, again, with a McNeil Justice Fellowship that is geared right towards those of you who are sitting here, if that's on your list, let's put number 2. If you think fun is going back to the dorm, you've had a very, very tough week, okay? I'm talking to the engineers out here, not the Mendoza people. And you've had a very, very tough week. All you want to do is go to a community where all you need to be is yourself. Put that on the list. Now, for all of you who want to go and be, Nobel Peace Prize, whatever, put that on the list too. Trust me, you'll be stretched, you'll be challenged by peers who are excellent in every field that you guys want to be in: journalism, engineering, political science. I mean, you guys will find the most educational, curious, and different people. But most importantly, you will do all of this in an environment that asks you to simply be you. So, back to the advice. Take all of those things that you sort of wanted to portray yourself as. This intelligent engineering student, international student. Guys, I need financial aid. And, really think deeply about what success looks like to you, what meaning and joy looks like to you. And I found that in student government. I found that in the McNeil Fellowship. I found that in my dorm. I found that even in the classroom, even though it's engineering, you know what I mean? But I will say this: choose yourself, speak with those who know you best, put yourself on that list, and you can take my word for it, or if not, you will, and I'll see you next year. So take my word for it, put yourself on that piece of paper, and I can tell you this with 100% certainty: as much as the gold is real, the people, the places, and the experiences you're looking for are going to be here. But because this was advice, put yourself on the list, and whatever the list says, go to that place. Thank you.
Thank you. Friends, as you can see, some amazing panelists, and I think very representative of all of our students. And so we'll thank them more formally in a moment. But before that, of course, a couple of quick words of direction. So from here, you'll head into the academic events beginning at 11 a.m. Please refer to your student's rally agenda for directions, and your campus map can also be used to navigate if you need it. For those students with an intended major within the College of Science, please remain seated as your session will be held here in the Purcell Pavilion. For students who have majors outside of the College of Science, ushers will guide our guests to exits throughout the Purcell Pavilion at the end of this session. Will you please join me in thanking our wonderful student panel? Friends, to close us out, we have one small surprise to thank our student panelists this afternoon. As you entered into the pavilion today, the video board showcased slides full of words of encouragement and wisdom from those who invest in our students' formation. They don't know this yet, but we actually reached out to the families of our 4 students here today. And as an acknowledgement of our gratitude and a reminder of the ways that they're called to be a force for good in our world, please enjoy these words of love and support from your own families back at home.
Hey, Aaliyah.
Hi, baby.
Hey, we are so proud of all that you're accomplishing as a Notre Dame student. Keep shining, keep thriving. We love you.
Love you, Bia.
Hey Kaylee, we're so proud of you and everything you've accomplished at Notre Dame. We're wishing you the best. We love you so much. Go Irish!
We are so proud of the effort you are putting in, Zach. You are capable of amazing things. Remember to be kind to yourself and others. You are valued and loved. Just want to send a little love your way. We are so proud of the person you are, Zach. Keep shining. We believe in you, Zach.
Hi, Sophia! You're such an inspiration to others.
Felicidades, Sofía. Te vemos en tu graduación.
Go Irish!
Friends, have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless you, and go Irish.